Welcome to the Progtalks by the Prog Space. Welcome to the Progtalks, an interview series by the Prog Space where we will be talking to musicians in all corners of the progressive music scene. Hello everyone, welcome to the Prog Talks with Uncle Prog, Rune Belsvik-Deinos, as your host again today. Today the Prog Talks could really be named as something like bearded Norwegians chat to each other or something, but because I have with me three musicians from Norwegian band Laughing Stock, which recently released their new album Zero Acts 1 and 2, which I'm very excited about. So, hello guys, how are you doing?
Hello. Good fine, thank you.
Yeah, everyone doing okay in Norway there, and I just wanted to start by congratulating you on the release of Zero Acts 1 and 2. It's been out since March the 19th, right? That was the release date. So, yeah. How are you happy about the reception so far, Jan Mikael?
Yes, we are very happy about it, and we have seen it both on our Bandcamp site with a lot more listenings, streamings, and sales, and on Spotify and
YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube, and all the comments from people all around the world. It was quite different with the island last year.
Yeah.
But that was in the middle of the summer and sort of a re-release for us. So
yeah,
it's been a whole different story this time.
Yeah. What about you other guys, Håvard, Jan Erik? Happy about the release of the album?
Yeah, and the first thing is that I'm really, really happy about the album as such. I think it's by far our best album, and I think the process by which we made the album, the concept and the songs and the arrangements, everything has been a unit group effort, and I think the results were very good. And it's very fun. It's great to see that in some of the reviews as well, that they appreciate this album especially, and that makes me happy.
Yeah, I have been looking at some of the reviews that has come out for the album, and generally I think they seem to be very positive. They seem to be impressed with the new album, and not all of our listeners will or watchers will know you guys. So could you tell us a little bit about the start of the band project? I know that Jan Erik and Jan Mikael, you guys have been playing together or known each other musically since forever, right? You started playing way back in in the day.
Oh, that's Jan Mikael and Håvard. They started
that's Håvard, yes. Yeah.
When they were like 7, 8.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
12 maybe.
I don't know. They were really small.
Yeah.
We met each other when we were 4.
Yeah.
Full of big ideas then. And when we were 12, we started the first band, Crazy Dogs.
So I didn't meet. I first met Jan Mikael at when I was like 18, 19, I think.
Yeah.
And before that, I just looked at him as a very scary guy. I think we met at a party or something, a Saturday probably. And then we start talking, and we had like the common sense of music and common sense of the artists and stuff like that. So from I think that on, we just started a new band.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that was the start when we were like 18, 19 years old or something. So we know each other for quite some years, but with Laughing Stock, I think we have found more like the core of our musicianship,
because you guys have, even if you have been playing together for a long time and you have had other band constellations, right? Laughing Stock has more or less existed, from what I could find, from around 2016, and then you released the first album in 2018, with your own label or like a independent release, right?
Yes, that's right. And to follow up on the story from Jan Erik, we all three of us went to the same high school. Yeah.
I see. Yeah.
In Tønsberg, started up in 1989, and Håvard and I were in the same class. We went to the music.
I like I see the music class, the music line in the school. I see. Yeah.
And we known each other for many years before that, and we were quite uncool, unhip guys who were listening to the Beatles and XTC and Pink Floyd, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So when we had our band, it was not very in the times, so to speak. Mm-hmm. We were a Laughing Stock, I think, at school. And Jan Erik, I knew who he was, but he was with the hip cool guys.
Oh,
and they
had, I see.
And they had another band, and they were up to date with the indie rock and
more
that
current.
Kind of thing.
So,
yeah. So they were placed at a higher level than us, and at school. And so it's true when Jan Erik says it was at a party when we were around 18 years old. I first spoke to him because they were the hip guys, the footballers.
I see.
And Jan Mikkel and I, we played in a band together from 86 until 92. And then I traveled away to study. And then he had to find some new people to play with.
Yeah,
new friend.
Then Jan Erik was there. Yeah, there was Jan Erik.
Yeah, but
almost the same time we stopped playing. You stopped playing with Jan Erik.
I just wanted to show this one. This is. Can you see it? I don't see myself.
It's a tape. Yeah, it's a dead.
It's a cassette from Crazy Dogs, our first band, Håvard and I. This is from 87, I think.
Demo.
But we called it a release, and it even has the label.
I see. Yeah.
We use it. That's why it says on our releases. JMHE, JMHE, 1986, because we started our own record label in 86, but only we knew about it. Yeah. But that name has been stuck onto it, and when Jan Erik joined, his name is Jan Erik, so he has the same initials.
So it worked out.
Yeah, it worked out. We didn't have to change anything.
And I think we should mention that as well as Jan Mikael and I, there was a third person in the bands called Kolbjørn. Is my brother, and he's also a bit of a prog rocker these days with a band like Nanmadol.
Your brother plays in Nanmadol, yeah.
Yeah. So he was in that band too.
Well, I feel like the Norwegian prog rock scene in general is like, people over the last maybe 10 years, you feel so many bands had start, crawling out of the woodworks, and there are so much stuff happening. Also, of course, around the fact that we have labels like Charisma and Apollon now where you are signed to bring this music from Norwegian bands out to the world. So that's very, very cool, I think. Yeah. And I've been looking at the reviews of your album, and I've been, writing a little bit about it myself for the prog space. And you guys aren't the easiest to categorize, because you don't fit like perfectly into like the prog rock box or whatever. How would you self-describe your music, and what inspirations go into it? I feel like there's a bit of folk there. Even I feel like there's a bit of Americana in there as well. I may be wrong, but that's the impressions I get. So what is your, what goes into the music of Laughingstock?
I think what Jan Erik said was quite accurate, that it's sort of an essence of all the things we have listened to all our lives. And I actually thought in the 90s, when I was very obsessed with Alice in Chains and Soundgarden, and on to Pantera and harder stuff like that, I thought I never would listen to what I listened to when I was a kid in the 80s, but I was so wrong. These things has turned out to be a long-lasting story of my life, really.
Yeah.
I really can't pinpoint any band or any artist I've ever liked that I don't like anymore. We started off with Howard Jones and Nick Kershaw, and I still like those guys. I still follow what they are doing. And went on to Talk, Tears for Fears, XTC. And it's been a lasting impression, and all the things that I've listened to over the years. It's just been adding to the foundation, really.
I see.
And I can show you another thing. Around 2000, I played in a band called Gate 9.
Yeah,
and we released one album in the US. Not successful, of course. But at the time, I was very into the doom stoner rock movement. And I think that's been accompanying me ever since, especially bands like Crowbar and those kind of bands.
I see.
Plays this very melodic...
Yes, doomy,
and very, very harmonized riffs. Not to drop the all-out riffing, but the harmonized, very beautiful kind of playing that's I tried to incorporate to the Zero album, like in the song "Nighttime," in the final passage there. It's not power chords when I play a distorted guitar, but I play 2 tracks and harmonize with one tone, if you know. So it gets a fuller, richer, more stereo sound, like Kirk Windstein and Crowbar always does. Yeah. And you remind me of him. You look exactly the same.
Well, thanks, I guess. But yeah, I can sort of hear that. I actually looked into that earlier and found the Gate 9 stuff and the fact that you had been part of a metal band, or at least a doom stoner kind of project. And when listening to the album after that, it sort of makes sense, because there are so many influences going into your music, and that's just one of them. Also the sort of the overall atmosphere of the album, I don't know if I would call it somber, but it's very melancholic. So yes. I wonder, how do you guys create this emotional melancholic sound? What goes into that songwriting procedure for you guys?
I would like to say that it's so, for me at least, and I think maybe for the others too, it's the same kind of writing as we've always done.
Yeah.
We have a song on the island called 30 Years, which is a celebration that Jannik and I have played together in 30 years. And there's a line there, we will make the same old songs with the same sad songs with the same old chords. So that's a bit of picking on ourselves for doing it the old way and loving the E minor, C major chords, and the kind of bit melancholic and somber moods that we always have done.
Because I enjoyed Island and also Sunrise. That was out in 2019, right? That was your first album on Apollon, really, and I would say that Zero is a natural continuation of that, but like more like distilled in a way. It's like even stronger. The things that are strong on the Island and on Sunrise are sort of even more powerful on this new album. Did you guys feel like that while you were writing it, that you were sort of reaching something new, something stronger and better with the band?
I think we had a more clear vision about the Zero album. And, the Island was like the first album, and it had like parts of songs that we have written for 30 years. So it's more like the start with the fragments put together. And we think that the Island was a kind of a good start. Then we can see if all this fits together. And then came Sunrise, and that was more like a normal collaboration, and we had an idea of what we were going to do and stuff. But I think on Zero we have taken it to another level with the songwriting, the sound, the lyrics, everything. I think it's more like it's much better. It's not bragging, but I think it's a higher level of everything we've done. So I can also, I feel it now. We have the Zero, the acts 1 and 2, and we're now working on 3 and 4, and we are in a creative flow. I think things just pops up, and new songs and stuff, and we share with each other. And Mikael is the core man with the studio, who polish and stuff like that. So there's something about I just feel everything is revealing what is called is flowing out now in a way. So it's everything starts to fall place in a way.
Yeah, I chatted a bit to you, Jan Mikael, before this. We while we were working on setting this interview up, and you told me a little bit about how this pandemic that we're living through now actually made it possible for you guys maybe to concentrate fuller or work, more intensely on this album. Could you tell us a little bit about the process of recording the album? Because I believe you mastered or you produced it and mixed it yourself, and then you have Jakob Holm Lupo, which of course is known from White Willow and tons of other, Telepath and tons of other stuff. So how did the recording process and the writing process and everything work with this in these times of plague that we are sort of?
I would like to start with saying when Håvard and I started out in '86 with our band, that was mostly because Håvard had a father, he still has, who had many instruments and also made amplifiers and effect box and all that kind of stuff, which we weren't allowed to use everything, but we did anyway. And he also had a tape recorder. So we started off by, from the beginning, to record every song that we ever made. And
sound.
Yeah. And so that was very important, I think, to both Håvard and me. But for myself, I've always recorded everything. And when I started a band later with Jan Erik Spacewagon, I also played in a metal band, and we had this 8-track cassette recorder. So we also used to record and overdub stuff. So I've always been able to record with double tracking. And when I started out again later with I bought a Cubase program. That was because our album with Gate 9 was recorded in a studio by a guy called Thomas Ruud, and he was very good on this program on computer called Cubase, and I was very interested in that. So I was sitting with him every time I could and mixing our stuff with him, and learned a lot from this guy in Horten.
Yeah.
I think it was about the time when Fear of a Blank Planet by Porcupine Tree came out. I got aware of Steven Wilson, and I immediately liked that album and read a lot about Steven Wilson and how he started out the same way as Håvard and I, with the tape recording things, of course, more professional than us. But the importance of having your own equipment, and it didn't have to be very. It could be cheap equipment. It was more important to be able to use the stuff. I was so inspired by Steven Wilson and his story. And he also opened up this gate into the old prog world with Yes and Jethro Tull and all that stuff, King Crimson, all the things he have remixed. So when Håvard and I recorded the 30 Years song, which is the first Laughing Stock song, really, it wasn't supposed to be, but it became that way. I started to work harder on learning the recording techniques and using the Cubase properly. So the first The Island record we made was very amateurish. But when we got the record, we got signed by Apollo. I think we, especially for me, it was like somebody had some confidence in what we were doing was good enough.
Exactly.
Even with the cheap, yes, with all this cheap stuff and all that. So, and when Jakob Holm Lupo then contacted me after Sunrise and wanted to mix or master or anything for us, then I really felt that yes, what we do is good enough, and I always had confidence in our songwriting. I think that's the best thing about all three of us.
Yeah. But now
very
there was
good
also
songwriters together, even if we make.
But now there also was some confidence in your recordings, right? With Jakob saying that he enjoyed your music and he wanted to work with you.
Yeah, so then finally I had some confidence in the sound as well. And I spoke with him and is this good enough? And he could tell me back, yeah, I would probably do this and that, but overall sound is very good, he told us, or me then. And then I think that went very much into the production of Zero, that this is good enough and we can make it even better. So some small upgrades, microphones and sound card upgrade, and but just small things can make a whole lot of things.
Improvements.
And make the whole experience improve it a whole lot. So, and of course, the mastering by Jakob made the sound better. But I think we learned a lot. And even if we don't make too many songs together, we always help each other with the songs and comment on each other. And share ideas, arrangements, and everything.
Yeah. So how does that songwriting?
To close this, so that's this confidence, the newfound confidence in our material and our sound, has made our music better.
If you are enjoying this interview, please head over to theprogspace.com for more reviews, articles, pictures and interviews, all about progressive music. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. theprogspace.com.
Yeah, and I would like to say that Jan Mikael has been working in his studio, I think, every day since we started Laughingstock, and many hours, and all that work is paying off. That's very clear. So I'm very happy. I'm sure America is too. Just to be able to be part of that energy.
Yeah.
So it helps. I think it helps me to use my potential more because it's this bandwagon really going. So and I think I would like to say about the songwriting and the dynamics in the band we have talked about in many times, that together the three of us, we have almost all types of music presented as a kind of experience. So when Jan Mikael and I stopped playing together in 1993, so I started studying classical music, and I was into jazz and music from all around the world. Played in a band from Bosnia. And,
really?
And I really didn't listen much to pop and rock at all, and no metal at all. so while Jan Mikael was going in the metal direction, I was going the totally other way. So I think it was a few years after 2000. We have always have a good contact all the years, and then we started chatting on the phone and on the computer and things like that about music and old music, and it was ecstasy and the Beatles all over again, and it was also finding new music together, like Fleet Foxes, Bon Iver, and Jonathan Wilson. So it was kind of Americana and folk rock in the beginning, maybe, and more prog rock from about 2014. I think the big love for Jethro Tull came in, and Gentle Giant, and we discovered that together. And I think that
then you have those folk influences in their music as well with the prog, right? So
I think so. We went different ways, and then found together through prog and through folk rock.
Yeah.
So and I think that the music Jan Erik makes is also another color, and some of it a bit folk rock, some bit indie rock. It's beautiful, and something else that than I or Jan Mikael make. So we have kind of three colors in that palette.
So what are your inspirations or your sort of influences, Jan Erik? Then would you say that you bring into the whole Laughingstock experience?
I think it's a little bit same as Jan Mikael and Håvard. I think the only thing different from me, I like indie rock together with I love a lot of metal bands.
Yeah,
I love jazz. I love pop music. I'm not like into one special genre or something like that. I like, as long my son is 14 years old, and he's like, into hip hop and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So now I'm starting to listen to a lot of that, like Kid Cudi and Kendrick Lamar and stuff like that. And there's also a lot of good music. I think the most important thing is if you have something to tell, and if you tell that in a good way, then it doesn't matter if it's like metal, hip hop, jazz, or anything, as long as you hit me with that feeling. And that's the nice thing about Laughing Stock. That's we have like Jan Mikael introduced me to metal, and I love metal. We've been to like a couple of hundred metal concerts together, and our favorite, I think it's like Korn, and I myself I love Lamb of God. But when I listen to music, I can put on like a Lamb of God record, and the next can be like a Norwegian jazz. I don't know. Yeah. I like the what is it called?
Contrast.
This is like kind of way this normal that we ended in the prog. I think we ended in the progressive music because we have all this different inspiration, I think.
Yeah, I think, I couldn't agree more with you with that. Any genre of music has some good and interesting stuff to it. And as you say, when an artist has something to tell or a message they want to bring out, there's quality there. So like you, I would say, during today, I've listened to Norwegian black metal band Emperor, and then I've listened to your album, and I listened to Kate Bush. So that's, it's all kinds of music that goes into, and I can sort of hear that in you guys' music and production, that, here is influences from so many things. And I'm interesting that you mentioned Fleet Foxes, because when I listened to your albums, I was like, there is some definite Americana stuff here, and then I was like, oh, there is some. I felt like there is some Fleet Foxes here somewhere hiding amongst the prog or the Pink Floydy part or something, and I absolutely love it. I want to move on to the concept of the album, because I found it very interesting. This concept of Zero, which is sort of the main character, right, and which is a young boy or a teenager who's sort of going through something quite difficult with isolation and all this, and I felt like this was even more interesting, or even more prominent today with this period we are in now, where I guess a lot of us, both younger and older people, are sort of missing out on socialization and being around other people. And I guess for young people it's even tougher, because they are sort of learning how to interact with other humans or other people or society around them, and now they're closed out from that. So did the current situation go into the theme of the album, or is this something you have been working on for a while, and how did this idea for this concept album arrive for you?
I think it started out. Firstly, I have to say, two albums that have been very inspirational for me and for the other guys. I'm sure I know. It's the album "Tommy" by The Who, and of course "The Wall" by Pink Floyd.
Yeah,
that shares many common threads in the storyline.
Yeah, there's some DNA there.
Yeah, but the core story is about a boy who is detached from the world and is very lonely. And both of those stories are grand, but we wanted to take that story into a more relatable environment. Because I think it started with me making the song "Nighttime," and it was a standalone song at first about this boy who was sitting in his room and having trouble sleeping because his mother was downstairs having a party and all this noise, and he was alone in his room. And so it went from that point of view then. But it also, I think it's a kind. Many musicians and artists can relate to that, because I think this melancholia which seeps into our music is a little personal too, because I at least felt, even I was never lonely as a kid. I always had friends, but I also always felt a bit detached from the other kids were doing different stuff like sports and chasing girls or anything. I wanted to be in my room. I was an only kid living with my mother, and I was always in my room listening to music or drawing cartoons or reading books. And Håvard, he didn't go to the same school as me, but we were together almost every weekend. So we had this common interest in being alone and doing our stuff.
Yeah.
So it was. So it's a little bit of a personal experience, but most of all, it goes out to all these heroes around the world. And I am a teacher. Håvard is a teacher, and we see those boys and girls every day in school, and they are everywhere. There are so many heroes, but I won't say too much. But it's coming. The acts 3 and 4 is coming, and I think if you listen to the songs and read the lyrics, I think some people will find it a bit comforting, the album, and uplifting. Even if it seems like it's a sad story, I think it can be uplifting for many people if you really go into the songs.
Yeah. I would like to add as well that I think we tried to make the story a bit abstract because it's was meant to be open to other people's experiences.
Exactly.
And, yeah. So I think for me it was. I think Jan Erik and I maybe misunderstood Jan Mikael's mail when he sent us the song Nighttime and the story behind Nighttime, because I immediately thought he meant this is a concept album. And we started talking about it as a concept album. We need that and that, and he really it was just a song. But then we started, and for me it was a kind of abstract thought that what happens to a person who doesn't get anything on an emotional level. He gets to eat, he gets to go to school, he's warm, but he has no support from day one, no real love, and no friends, and no kind of affirmation anytime. And what happens to that was the kind of the challenge I think. And without saying too much, we're working now in the next part. How can you go on from that?
Yeah.
Zero.
Exactly.
Having zero, being zero, and feeling like a zero. Is there a way out?
Yeah.
Question mark.
I think it's a very interesting, very pertinent sort of message, and I agree with you guys that this leaving this room for interpretation or for inserting yourself into the story is something that makes the album even better, because like you said, Jan Mikael, I think a lot of people, older and younger, can recognize themselves in what you're talking about. Maybe not being the outsider, but at times at least I guess we all feel like the outsider, or the one who is sort of wants to be alone with his or her thoughts and interests and whatever. So I found it a very touching album, and I think it's very it's important. It's a important subject, because as teachers, I guess you guys, I've worked as a teacher as well, and I totally get what you're saying. There are so many silent, zeros out there that needs to be heard and seen, and maybe listening to an album like this will make you feel like you're a part of something. I want to ask about something, because you mentioned his mother, and for the character of the mother, you got a very interesting guest, someone I hadn't heard of before, but I had to do some research and listen to some music. And I had to say I absolutely love it. Samantha Prays, is that her name? An American singer-songwriter. How did that happen?
Yes. It happened like when we were releasing Sunrise. Robin Mortensen, our
Apollon
chief
boss,
main man, the Apollon boss.
The chief
he told
of
me we had to work as hard as we could on social media to get attention because they have no money to do that kind of thing. So he gave us homework that when Sunrise was released, we had to have at least 500 followers on Facebook. This was kind of a joke, but also with a little bit of seriousness.
A little bit of a,
So I really chased friends on Facebook, but what I was chasing the most was other musicians to befriend, Norwegian and from other countries, and
to build a network.
To build a network, and to my surprise, many of those people were easy to talk to on Messenger. Even if they were kind of famous people, in my opinion. And Jakob Holm Lupo was one of them. I hadn't heard of him before back then, but I get to know him and his work later. And he told me, if you want a collaboration with someone, just ask.
Yeah,
he said. Suddenly I got this friend request from this Samantha Prays, who is, I think, doing the same thing as me, trying to befriend people who are musicians just to get a network. And so I thought about what I had listened to some of her songs, and so I thought it was very nice, kind of a Carole King / Johnny Mitchell kind of thing.
Yep.
Which I liked. And I thought what Lupo had told me, and then I sent her a message, you want to sing on a song? Yes, she said, and bring it on. And I sent her the song, and I didn't hear anything. So I thought, okay. But suddenly I got this message that she was moving from United States to England, and she was sorry that she hadn't listened to the song, and she asked for me to send it one more time because I sent it on WeTransfer and it was
it expired.
It expired. So I sent it again, and she recorded the vocals for it, and it was I think it suited the song very fine. It got another vibe, so I added this extra chorus on the end with the acoustic guitar because that's how her voice sounds the best in my ears. So I thought to showcase her the most, I added one more chorus, and so she's singing on one song for the next album as well. Reprising the role, you could say.
I see. Yeah.
So it's just a matter. It's just because of befriending via Facebook, really.
You reached out,
so,
she reached out,
yeah. But I would bring that on to other people. It's not too scary to send a message to a musician that you admire or like or anything, just to ask a simple question. Many people are very polite and listen to your music and give you their opinion back. And that is also a nice thing, like that John Young in Life Science. I remember sending him the song Afraid, Jan Erik's song, for Sunrise, asking him if he would listen to it.
Yeah.
And he did, and even left a reply on YouTube that he liked the song, and it's all. So that kind of thing is very uplifting when you are unknown and maybe unsure about your music.
Yeah, I think that's very, very good advice. My experience from working with, I wouldn't say a music journalist, but at least being, an amateur music journalist for many, many years, is that if you reached out to musicians, they are 99% of the time they're very eager to talk to you, to do something, with the media you're working with. And so I think we're all trying to network, and we're all trying to, bring out this music. And related to that, I just want to ask you, because we're coming up on the end of the interview here, I feel, but the progressive, you guys aren't really, a straight up progressive band, but you have been very welcomed, I feel, and very, included into the progressive rock scene and the progressive rock community. How has that experience been since you started, reaching out through the channels and being a part of the progressive rock scene?
Yeah, I think it's been a very nice experience to be a part of a society in Norway.
Yeah,
I learned a lot about Norwegian music, I have to say. I hadn't heard about any of the Poland bands before. It was actually Jan Erik who introduced me to Bjørn Riis and then Airbag, but I'd never heard of those guys before. And I remember Jan Erik told me about this band Soup.
Yeah.
And then along came Leprous. I never heard even of those guys before, only as the backing band for Isan. And I thought they were straight up black metal band, but they were not.
Nope.
So I think the progressive movement in Norway is very, very healthy and nice, because in our early years, the name Laughingstock, I think, is a little pun on that as well. All the bands, Jan Erik and I, we were out of fashion, and we were laughed at in Tønsberg when we played live. Mm-hmm. All the bands that I've ever played in have been downspoken, I have to say.
I see.
But in this progressive music movement in Norway, it's the other way around. Everyone is applauding each other and helping each other out, and that's a totally different experience than I have. And the worst I had when I played in a metal band, people were just is vaccinated against saying positive things about other people, I think.
Yeah.
I think, and I would like to say that the international prog rock community is something else as well. It's really feeling welcome in all the world. People like you in these radios and fan sites and magazines working so hard to make our music and other prog rock bands known. It's quite enheartening, really. So.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. For me as well, having my background or my way into prog was through metal, and black metal, death metal, the more technical stuff of the early 90s, and I agree with you. It's much more of a cutthroat scene where you sometimes feel that everyone's on their own, and speaking up each other isn't always, what happens. But with the prog, it's a bit of a different vibe. Everybody's trying to lift each other up, and I think that's very, it's very positive. So you guys have mentioned several times now that you're working on part 3 and 4 of Zero, and I'm sure that you probably had hopes to do other things, like release a release concert or being able to play this material live and so on. What are the plans, or what plans can you make in a situation like we're in now, for the future of Laughingstock? Are you hoping to be able to gig or tour when maybe towards the end of this year somehow?
We had some we had some concert that been postponed, like everybody else,
Yeah.
So that's a little, sad. I think that we I think like 2020 was like a year what we started out, and suddenly it just everything locked down. And so, but we have plans. So we want to play we want to play live, and we have had a couple of rehearsals and stuff like that. But I think our plan is to play as much live as we can.
Yeah.
So we are open for the businesses.
Exactly. And for part 3 and 4, can you say anything about where you are in the process of that? When can we expect to hear something?
I will say that we're halfway into it. We have done like we have done before, writing songs on our own, and Håvard and Erik sends over to me, and we discuss, and then I maybe arrange something on the songs, and we discuss a little more. And now we have decided that now we have enough stuff for half the album.
Yeah,
almost finished. And the rest we are planning to make together. So we have to meet all 3 and go away to some strange cabin in the woods or something, and collaborate to the final act, really.
Yeah.
And we have all. So I hope we get it out around Christmas sometime, December, January, and. I have a single ready, but we have to wait to release it, of course.
Of course, yeah.
And now we have to concentrate on the parts, acts 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, and another thing is that when you get all these positive reactions from people, you really feel that the next album has to be not equal, but better than that one. So
there's some expectation,
especially when it's they has. Yes, and then they have to be seen together as a whole, and then you can't do like so many double albums seem to fail around the third side.
Yeah,
like Topographic Oceans or something. It has to be consistent all the way to the end.
Exactly. Well, I'm very happy to hear that we will be hearing more music from you guys, maybe even this year. And until then, I think people should go over to your Facebook, your Bandcamp, everything will be on screen, and buy the album, listen to the album, just check the guys out. Also, please like and subscribe, I have to say. It helps us at the Prog Space, and thank you guys so much for talking to me about Zero.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for asking us.
Yeah, it was great.
The Progtalks, produced by the Prog Space. Main host, Rune Belsvik Reinås. Produced by Rune Belsvik Reinås, Vanessa and Matthias Kirsch. All graphics and animations by Vanessa Kirsch. Intro theme by Giuseppe Negri. Outro theme by Zach Munowitz. This was the Progtalks by the Prog Space. See you in a week.